The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue, and as usual, I'm your regular host. George Agba is my name, and with me here in the studio, is our in-house analyst, very vibrant one, and he's also your regular of Silas Ezebu.
You're welcome today.
Well, the big issue of the day takes us to the oil sector, where we've had persistent queues at the filling stations across the country. And that brings us to the very, very critical question. Is fuel distribution system a gang up against Nigerians? Well, we have heard of subsidy and the idea of its removal right from 2012, where former President Goodluck Jonathan had made an attempt, although we could say frail attempt, to get rid of what people would have termed the fraud, called subsidy. Up till now, the situation is becoming worse, leading to fuel scarcity, characterized by long queues at the filling station. And at the end of the day, most Nigerians are asking, what is the mystery behind the idea of fuel subsidy? Despite fuel subsidy, we've been seeing persistent increase in the price of the PMS, otherwise known as fuel. In Lagos currently, the pump price of fuel currently stands at 250 naira.
Filling stations.
In filling station, yeah. And at the end of the day, most Nigerians are wondering whether the fuel subsidy is something we must continue in this country. Silas, we have always been asking the question, the fuel subsidy, what impact is it creating? Because despite fuel subsidy, we have never seen anything good about fuel. Is either from one scarcity to the other, or from one issues of fraud, and then you hear the kind of money they go up into. The scam, according to most Nigerians, called subsidy.
George, it's this issue at stake. I want to agree with the Labour Party special candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, that the whole issue around subsidy is a criminal enterprise. It's the greatest haste in Nigeria's current recent history. But the issues around oil is one long shady deal, and Nigerians are being made to suffer for the greed, inefficiency, and gang up of a few people who are privileged against Nigeria for a product, an asset that God blessed Nigeria soil with. I don't know of any country who has the kind of oil and gas we have in Nigeria, that these things are suffering the way we're suffering. Just assess it, and at prices that we can manage. The issue of subsidy grew from some hundreds of millions to billions. Now I think about trillions. In fact, the last time they talk about how much they're paying for subsidy, it's almost that all Nigerians' income in a year just goes to
Subsidy.
The CBN governor recently said that during Jonathan's time, NNPC, Nigeria's oil company, was remitting $3 billion every month to CBN. After every other thing, of course, some of them go to subsidy, because there was subsidy during Georgia's time. And that's why Jonathan wanted to remove subsidy and led to those mass riots across the country, sponsored by politicians and other groups, including those who are in power now.
Yes. They vehemently kicked against
it.
subsidy.
And the other argument was, well, it is what is causing trouble. Remove it, and everybody go home and sit and sleep. That was also his own approach to corruption. He said, okay, people are not just start pushing people around, remove the candy. And they don't see anybody chasing after anything. That was his own approach. Remove the subsidy and let people go home. And when I was listening to one man who has been a long time player in the industry. I don't know his name, he ran name. He said, a man from Lagos or there, he said that the only way to stop all this nonsense is to remove the subsidy. And everything fall into what? Line. That interests have aggregated in this system and are making so much huge benefit from it to the detriment of everybody that they don't want it to stop. But the only way you can do, once you remove the subsidy within a short time, things will flatten. So, George, if you ask me, I'll tell you that truly, the industry has not been well run for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians. If NNPC is not able to remit money to the federal government, nothing is coming from there to federation account, to the CBN, everything has gone to subsidy. Then what are we subsidizing? So now people are buying in free stations in Lagos. Like I said, 250, 200. Even the government control price is longer working. I was listening to somebody who was saying that the issues around this, is also contributing to the issue of scarcity. Diesel is so costly now, and that's what the truckers in Ipman, use in moving this,
transporting the fuel for distribution
across the country.
Yes.
So they are finding it difficult because it's so costly. There's no subsidy on diesel and kerosene, and look at where they are now, around 800, 750 per liter. Someone was saying on TV that countries around Nigeria are selling diesel at 390 something naira, 350, 390. So it's even easier to import from those countries if possible. If they need to crash the price of this in Nigeria, if they're selling 350 or 390 or 400 in Cameroon, I was selling 400 in Nigeria. I mean, 800 in Nigeria. It's not better to go there and bring in the stuff. So, George, the only thing I say that for long now, people have said that this oil asset we have has gone to oil costs for Nigerians. The industry is managed by those who possibly don't have time to manage it well. We have the president that is the commander-in-chief. The security situation in Nigeria is improving. I must say it's improving a bit, but we are not yet in charge of Nigeria's, ungoverned spaces and so on. Kidnapping and the terrorism is still rife in the north and across Nigeria. I'm always saying it's right, so that I don't seem to be just criticizing, okay?
All true.
But we know that, Nigerians are not really comfortable in their country because of security. Then he's also the one managing the oil. People have thought that since he was a commander-in-chief, he was a general, he would do well in security, and he was an oil minister, in the 70s, that he also do well. But what have we seen? The industry is bedeviled by all kinds of crises, from oil theft to subsidy to supply issues. Right now, Nigerians are just confused. George, I must tell you that it's not a good time to be a Nigerian when it comes to access to fuel, access to food, access to anything. So, when it comes to the issue, they need to sit down and look at the issue of supply. I was listening to an episode of shows who was saying that we have enough fuel Another he said they are up to 2 billion liters PMS Nigeria. So that means the issue will revolve around distribution. So what are the issues? One person was saying, I don't know his name now, on the union, was saying that when diesel was around 250 naira per liter,
Silence, I think we will come back and take that from where you stopped.
Okay.
So that we'll just take a short break and do some kind of announcements and then some kind of showcasing. And as we do that, we hope that our viewers will actually contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue. And by the time we come back, we expect that we'll start seeing their comments trickling in, and then we'll take it one after the other for Nigerians to know what their views are. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is persistent queues. Is fuel distribution system a gang up against Nigeria? Well, Silas, as we have been talking, we all know the implication and we know what has actually bedeviled the country with the subsidy regime. And the fact is the country at this point has actually suffered a lot of loss in revenue in the oil sector. And of course, we know what subsidy has done to that particular very, very crucial sector in the country. Subsidy has encouraged smuggling of imported petroleum products from Nigeria to other countries where the prices are higher. And the smugglers are also able to make significant profit. And of course, we do not seem to know how many liters of petrol are consumed daily in this country. And of course, they say depending on your source, they will tell you the figures ranges from 55 million liters to 65 million liters. And this Nigeria is a country that has almost the same population with a country like Singapore. And of course, Indonesia. And Indonesia consumes about 20 million liters of fuel every day. Nigeria is talking of 65 million liters of fuel. These are the things that goes a long way to raise critical questions about fuel distribution in the country, especially as it has to do with the subsidy regime.
Let me tell you, Nigeria has become one huge haste. Those who have access to the levers of the economy, they are making a kill out of the system because the gatekeepers are not awake. In Nigeria, it's well known that even if your hand is caught in the cooking jar, the president is not somebody who is proactive enough to deal with you. So people are just brandishing figures that are esoteric and unbelievable, and they're not even ashamed at how they look when they say it. Yeah, you just mentioned these figures, and I'm happy that such a person as a former CBN governor, and the former and the other sultan of Army of Kano, Sanusi, just give that a comparative analysis. This country and we are at the same stage of possibly perhaps maybe not, and maybe the number of cars are more or less the same, the number of our populations the same. So if you have the kind of number of cars that are more or less like comparable and as consumed, and even more they're even more of a producing nation than we are. The economy is doing better in the nation than we do in Nigeria. So, if they are using $20 million liters fuel, and Nigeria is using 65 million, does it not tell you that something is terribly wrong somewhere? That some people are cashing on Nigeria's underbelly.
Sorry,
To
let me not
steal
cut you short. I just want to corroborate what you just said.
Still Nigeria blind.
I want to corroborate what you just said. Let me see. Based on loading information from the petroleum products depots, about 100 million liters are loaded every day. Then you cannot guess, because your guess will be as good as mine.
Okay,
Where the difference now is going.
Yes.
We consume 65 liters, 55 million liters, but every day, from information, they are loading 100 liters.
Now, and these are already subsidized products. And then what they tell you is that that those trucking this fuel are taking it outside the country and are posting to Nigerian borders. And you have the customs there, you have the police, have all the complement of security at our borders, and yet these trucks, which are not pins, are passing through and going and coming, and yet we are pretending as if we don't know. Money has changed hands. George, I think that some people need to be shot for economic sabotage. Nigeria is paying subsidy in trillions. In fact, it has wiped up our national income, and some people are smuggling that resource to other countries and are getting away with it. And that's why they're not very, very much encouraged to truck this fuel around Nigeria, because it's not as profitable, even by half, to what they make when they can take them out of the country. So, if people need to go to jail for things to work, and this government has showed that it's not ready to deal with those who are causing trouble in Nigeria. So I cannot just lament. I can only just encourage Nigerians to be hopeful that this government in a short while will be out of power. And two, with the job hang on and the keep up alive, I'm sure the government is putting in a lot of its own hope on the coming of Dangote family. If Dangote comes on board, the costs involved in importation will go down. We can now buy at the international price that Dangote will sell, and then two, we also have not just NNPC importing fuel, but this sole importation by NNPC. Anywhere you have a monopoly, that's always a problem. But when you have different players going to Dangote to access fuel, then this issue of distribution will be, I'm telling you, it's going to be a thing of the past. So let's just start patience. We're going through the mail now, but we will only ask this government to remember that they owe Nigerians a duty to make life worth living in Nigeria. If they're just looking at, let me come to that. The president is the commander-in-chief, and he's also the minister of oil. We also have a former Bayelsa governor, Mr. Silva, who was a governor in Bayelsa and who was facing a lot of corruption charges before he became the minister of oil. And the government returned his 55 houses to him. So I'm not saying he has not been convicted of anything yet, but there are people who have this kind of a questionable character that you are living to manage, and you're expecting to get integrity in the system. So, I can only say that if you talk to the industry players, they know what is happening there, and what's happening is that those who are in charge are making a kill out of the system, out of the pitfalls in the system, and making the rest of Nigeria to suffer.
And Silas, what most Nigerians are just baffled about is that President Buhari, who in 2015 had come, and most Nigerians, especially those of the northern extraction, are seen as the Messiah that would have come, that is expected to wriggle the country out of the political, social, and
Economic.
economic morass it was enmeshed in, is now actually disappointing. And the thinking of Nigeria is that what the Buhari's mindset towards subsidy is completely against what is the reality. See what President Buhari said sometime in June about subsidy. He said we can't justify subsidy removal. Western countries are subsidizing fuel too. Well, we know that the position is not different while he was contesting, and that is why they opposed vehemently to the removal of subsidy when Jonathan attempted that 10 years ago.
Don't you forget that last year or so, they said they have removed subsidy.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden you are telling us you are spending so much to get
subsidy.
So, you know, a lot of see there's a criminal enterprise around subsidy, and we just hope that the new government that will come after them will look at it and expose it and end it, because those who are involved now, what they are seeing there is not something they want to get again, because possibly they are benefiting from the system.
Of course.
I know when people are benefiting from the system, it's difficult for them to
now.
So if Buhari has become ready to tackle the issues, then what can we do about it?
Because what the president now said only reinforces his belief that there's no logical basis for subsidy removal. But this position also flies in the face of available evidence, because the question now is, to paraphrase the Minister of State for the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Prejesia. You see, he said, why do Nigerians expect the impossible when the country continues to avoid the inevitable? And that is the fact on ground, which is that the continuing retention of subsidy is not sustainable. And if you see, it is also very clear that Western countries, they are not subsidizing fuel.
No.
What they have been doing is to make provisions for safety nets, social safety nets, provide cost of living support for their citizens on account of rising energy prices. That is what they do.
I think the fear of people who are saying subsidy should take
that political will.
I think that the fear of people who are saying let's think twice about subsidy removes, that they do not believe that the government can bring social support system across Nigeria. They know that they feel from past experience that if it comes to that, those who are in charge will just appropriate it. You remember
to their fate.
Yes. Remember. I keep saying this. Remember how the Minister of that phrase spent hundreds of billions to feed children who are not existent in school. Or how the NNPC, you can say that they spent 20 billion to buy the charge card, to buy airtime, or how they spent 13 billion to 13 visitors. I say, if you spend 13 billion to 13, which kind of visitors are you taking for 13 billion in 1 year? That means you spend more than $1 billion a month to 13 visitors. You know what 13 billion can do for the country? The country that is growing heavily from everywhere. The people are throwing away the money, in that way. That's why I say that this government is not helping issues. If you look at the way they budgeted, at time, middle class were not allowed to write on them 2 billion naira to just repay some household utensils, this kind of 2 billion to repay, not buy in Villa. So I don't want to go into all those things, but if the NNPC can say they are spending 20 billion to buy a charge card, and 2050 is 13 billion by their own admission to entertain visitors, where do you expect them to get money to release to the government when they have wasted all of them, internally the way they want to do it? So there's no integrity in the system. There's no honesty in the system. People are just doing whatever they feel, because they feel that the president will have is not someone that will win a big stick. And that's why I miss Oshibajo. Pastor Oshibajo. The few times that he acted for the president, when people stepped out of turn, they got the result. And when you have a government that need to act, they'll be careful what they do. But people who have done terrible things in Nigeria publicly are still in office. We are here, Judge, when the chairman of the conduct bureau was slapping somebody at the Banex, and he's still in office. And it's somebody, I'm believe that if Oshio had been president at that time, he would not have taken that
And if it
nonsense.
were in other climes, like in the
He would have
Western
resigned by
countries,
himself.
he would have even resigned by himself.
But I know that this the vice president had been charged.
Mm.
He would not take that kind of nonsense. You have just asked him to go. Then why his case of assault comes up, But we have a president that seems to have been, showing a less fair attitude to Nigeria. And that's why one of my former bosses keeps telling me whenever we meet that this man is no longer Buhari. That he now believes that is the
He's really the Jibrin from Sudan.
because it doesn't give a damn to him. Doesn't give about Nigeria. So Judge, that is the issue we are facing, and then we just and although unfortunately we also have a National Assembly that is lame duck. So if you have an executive that is responsible and the legislature that is also lame duck, what do you get? Well, that's why we have to go to station. You can't have fun. For you to move around, you have to go and buy black market.
Yes.
In a country that they say we have 2 billion liters, you just have to truck it around that they cannot do that.
Thank you very much.
So, Judge, it's not a good. It's in fact, even on TV today, all the presenters were complaining how they're also stranded. They are paying through their nose. You know what it means, Judge? That if you have a family and you are budgeted transport for 2,000 naira and the family feeding for 5,000, because of fuel, you now spend 5,000 for fuel and 2,000 for feeding. Because the money will have gone, into other things to now go back to buy fuel. And it now cut down. It now kind of increases the cost of living and everything across. The cost of production, it's not an easy thing to talk about.
Well, you're right, Silas. You see, naturally, we all know. Certainly, subsidy has a very high cost, even though it is desirable for the low-income earners. But you see, the consequence of fuel subsidy is very biting because Nigeria experiencing massive fuel scarcity. The consequence is that the citizens bear the brunt. They suffer to pay through their nose. Lack of fuel will cripple them even when it has to do with their work. But at the end of the day, how in a very in a nutshell, what do you think would be that thing that must be done to get it right?
First of all, is that government had to become out clear to ascertain how much fuel we are consuming as a nation. Throw away the excess that they are claiming. I do not think I was spending more than 25 million in the year. So if they are trucking 100 million liters, the 25 million liters, where are they going? So they need to find a way to work the security agencies, to work with IPMA and the oil sector unions to stop this hemorrhaging, to stop the truckers from moving Nigerian fuel to neighboring countries. Close the borders. Don't allow them to move them. If they're not moving this product outside the country, they're going to have them move them inside the country. We're going to have fuel and transportation. That's one. Two is that government has already decided that it's going to kick the can of subsidy removal down to the next administration. It's also targeting that Dongoto will come on stream. I'm also asking them, let them also be cautious, committed to get the refineries that they say they're working on to work so that we can have internal production of fuel. If you have that one, the company can start to sell this is a product, they can start to sell the refined fuel, whatever they feel like, to ease the pain of Nigerians. You understand? But once you import it, whatever you're importing will be determined by international price. And if you are subsiding, you are also cutting your coat.
According to yourself.
So what I'm saying is that let them mark up local refining of fuel, get down already, and stop the truckers from moving Nigerian fuel outside the country. Right now, the NNPC say they have fuel enough, 2 billion liters are in stock. Why would we not have them in fuel stations? If they have issues with the truckers, they should settle them so that we can move this fuel across Nigeria. That's fuel in Nigeria. The only problem, like we say in this, our headline is that moving them, trucking them across Nigeria is a problem.
Thank you very much, Silas. Well, we are in for it. Fuel scarcity characterized by the long queues you see every day at the filling stations. And Nigerians are groaning every day because it is telling on their well-being.
Yes.
Money meant for feeding, money meant for upkeep within the family now goes to the purchase of fuel from the black marketers that sells from between 5,000, 4,000, 3,300. But until the government decide to garner the political will to address this issue, the issue of distribution of petroleum product in the country, things will not change. Well, that is the much we can take for today's big issue. I thank our very vibrant in-house analyst here, Silas, for addressing the big issue. And of course, I will not fail to thank you, our viewers out there, for keeping tab with us up till this moment. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.